Yes.
Okay, and so both of you are prophets?
For sure.
And so can you foresee future events?
Yes,
For sure.
sometimes.
Refute it. You can't refute it.
Excuse me, the scriptures say he divided the nations. That's racism within itself.
So you mean to tell me that the ideology that you're spewing is the same thing that the white colonizers are spewing? You're actually the racist.
You would first have to prove that you're a prophet based off of X, Y, and Z. That's what it says.
If you were a prophet, you should have known that and predicted it beforehand and written it down, and then he could demonstrate the proof of it.
Let's just read the book of Revelation 2:26. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nation.
But Romans 2:29, but a Jew is one inwardly, and circumcision is a matter of the heart, by the spirit, not by the letter. Bro, we can go verse for verse all day long.
Made over.
Let me ask you one question before you go in.
One mic at a time. One mic at a time, real quick.
Let me ask you one question because I've been kind of quiet. Hold up. Let me say one thing. What's your name? What's your name?
Andrew.
Andrew, let me ask you one question. What race of people went into slavery on ships throughout the history of mankind?
All races of people.
Name me the races that went to slavery through ships.
Well, so I would say race, I think, is a construction of the mind.
I'm talking about fleshly race. I'm talking about race.
Yeah, I understand. I just want to clarify this so I make sure I'm answering your question correctly. When you say race, are you talking about black, white? Are you talking? Okay, got the heuristic of black, white, things like this. Then every single race on planet Earth has been trafficked in slavery in a big way. Every single one. I
said by ships.
Yes, in ships.
Name me the time that white people went into slavery by ships.
The Barbary states enslaved whites. The Arabs enslaved whites.
Said, when was this?
So the most recent occurrence of this happened at the time of Thomas Jefferson.
Hold up. Let me reword this. In mass numbers, what race of people went into slavery by ships into a land that is not their land?
I don't understand the question. I'm sorry. I actually don't understand the question. What are you actually asking me?
So the key part of
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Recha HaKwadash, and double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone. Honors as well to you, brethren, you fellow believers of this truth, you other elders and brethren, you supporters of this truth. Shalom to you sincere sisters, and shalom to the elect. So anyway, I want to do this video. I made a video in response to this this thing that they were doing, this debate that I believe Andrew Wilson, Cooley of No Fugazee, who've also had some discrepancies and some interactions with other people, right? Fallouts because he was talking about the black woman, don't date the single black woman, but he had a so-called white woman or something like that. So they deemed him as a hypocrite, right? So who knows? This is why a lot of this stuff should be banned. You know what I'm saying? It's good that the information is out there, but you got certain guys who'll take it too far for the media coverage, for the media attention, to monetize. So when you look at a lot of these Hebrew Israelite groups in these debates and these Christians, and I don't know what the hell No Fugazi is or Cooley, maybe, I guess he's got to be a Christian. We could see that this is all for the show, for the people. And any Israelite who gets involved in this, right, they're actually involving themselves in the entertainment, and it just doesn't look good, my opinion. Because then these guys can cut whatever they want and make it look like whatever they want. In order to fully understand the Bible, you must go into context, number one. You must look up the words. You must have more of understanding what's going on. So this brother in the red here, he seems to be really sincere and on fire for what for the truth. But they have no business up there with these guys. They just have no business up there with these. But anyway, I'm going to read some comments. Probably one comment, and then I'll go on with the lesson. And I might even touch in on a couple of things that they said. Well, let me read a comment real quick. This is one I want to read. Somebody said, I can prove my prophecy before I press play. I prophesied that I would hear the sound of the low battery and a smoke detector, and it came true. So what these guys are saying is, by us calling ourselves prophets, how is it that we're prophets if it's already written? Okay, so we'll touch on that in a second. Let's go to the book of Revelation 18. Right, Revelation 18. Therefore shall our plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famines, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord of God Yahweh who judgeth her. So this is in the book of Revelation. What is this talking about? Now, John the Revelator clearly wrote this, correct? But wait a minute. It says the same thing right here in Zephaniah. Right? Neither their silver nor their gold will be able to deliver them on the day of the Lord's wrath. So we know Ecclesiastes 1:9 says there's no new thing under the sun. So things that have happened before happens again. Let me get there real quick, but I'm going to finish. The whole earth will be consumed by fire of his jealousy. For indeed he will make a sudden end of all who dwell on the earth. It's not talking about the whole world going to be destroyed like they do in the movies. But Christians, they don't understand this. Right? Jeremiah 51:8. Suddenly Babylon has fallen and has been shattered. Her wall, wail for her. Get her balm for her pain. Perhaps she can be healed. Right? So this is saying that Babylon can't be healed. This is another translation. It will not be quenched day or night. The smoke will ascend forever. This is in the book of Isaiah. So we see it in the book of Jeremiah. We see it in Zephaniah. We even see it in the book of Ezekiel. Right? So we see all these things that we see in the Bible. Behold, I am against you, O destroying mountain, who devastated the whole earth, declares the Lord. I will stretch out my hand against you. I will roll you over the cliffs and turn you into a charred mountain. Right? So we could keep reading on the precepts. And this is what John is saying when you look at Revelation 18. By the way, there was a lot of things Yahushua said. He quoted that say in the book of Isaiah, or say Isaiah. Remember, he said, this people speak sweetly with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Well, this was also quoted in the book of Isaiah. You see what I'm saying? Paul, he also quoted in the book of Romans, right? Let me get what I was going to get first, because I don't want to jump too far ahead. Let me get Ecclesiastes, what is that, 1? I think I'm going to write chapter. 1 and 9. The thing that hath been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there's no new thing under the sun. Is there anything where it might be said, see, this is new? It had already been of old, which was before us. This is why Jeremiah 28 says the prophets of old prophesy against many countries and kingdoms, against war and disease and pestilence. Now, of course, as us at Great Millstone, we believe in reincarnation. Some of you don't, but it's the facts. That's another video. So all we're doing is reiterating what was already written, right? If us being those prophets, we would be back and reiterating. And it's interesting that none of these people look up words and understand. This guy, Andrew Wilson, although he might be a good debater against women, he's definitely not against this truth. And I don't understand why these brothers as Hebrew Israelites didn't check him harder on that. Maybe I didn't see the whole thing. Maybe they did. I don't know. You know, these guys only put up what they want to put up. So anyway, there's no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after. This is why you see even in the Old Testament, it was written of Yahushua, the one you call Jesus, and Yahushua was mentioning things out of the Old Testament. Why? Because kingdoms fall. And every time a kingdom fall, there's always prophets there to do what? We'll get into that too. Interpret, right? So we'll go to, I just don't want to get too far ahead. We'll go to Romans 9:26. And this is what it says. This is easy. You know, you Christians, man, you ain't on no levels, right? This is what Paul says in Romans 9:26. As he saith also in Hosea. Well, who's Hosea? Hosea. I will call them my people, which were not my people, and their beloved, which were not my beloved. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall be said unto them, ye are the children of the living God. So would you call Apostle Paul not a prophet because he reiterated the same thing that's in the book of Hosea? And if you don't believe it's in the book of Hosea, well, we're going to have to get it in the book of Hosea. This is how we know this is talking about the Israelites. It says, yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God. We can see the same thing with Moses in Egypt. You see what I'm saying? Babylon. This happened through all kingdoms. We lost our way, and the Lord had to bring the written law because there was already a law of the Most High. So then there was a written law. Every time we get lost as a people, there must be somebody there to help bring it back. And the Christian church hasn't done a good job, right? The Christian church has hijacked Roman Catholicism, right? All kind of lascivious, sick images and behaviors, and then put up the white Jesus to be the Messiah. Then they took this white, sick Jesus, Caesar Borgias, and took him to Africa, Europe, and various other places, these colonizers, right? And retaught the word the way that they wanted to teach it. And the reason why there's a thing called monogamy is because the Roman Catholic Church, the Jesuits, who was, their whole ideal was to take this to the Hebrew Israelites because they multiply too much. And they knew, according to Exodus 1, that the children of Israel multiplies, especially under bondage. So they knew that these people were in slavery. They knew that slavery was coming, the slave ships, and we needed to re-educate them. And that's why you have simps, right? This is exactly why you have simps today. This is exactly why we believe the cross is the worship of Jesus. Yeah. And this man Cooley says, and before I forget, you're doing the same thing as the colonizers. How? Did you see us get on ships? Well, in a sense, when the coming of the Lord comes, yeah. First of all, when you colonize and you take something that doesn't belong to you, you know, that's off in itself. But we're only going to take back what's ours. There's a way to handle slavery. This mess is torture. And this man, what's his name? Andrew Wilson, he literally says all nations went to slavery in a big way. Yeah. What's up with that? Being brought over on slave ships? Now, he could say what he want. I did a video on the Barbary trades and the Indian Ocean trades and the so-called trades. That was just basically of selling the merchants servitude. This stuff being brought here and brought in slavery, and then we was hung and we was castrated, as the book of Joel says. And it really, his argument is mute, because when you go into Deuteronomy 28, that wasn't talking about other nations anyway. So the hell with every other trade. The Lord's judgment is worse against his people. Anyway, we're going to go. I want to touch on, what is that he said? Bro, Romans? What did he bring out? Romans 2? Yeah, he brought this out. it says here, for he is not a Jew, which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision which is outwardly in the flesh, but he is a Jew, which is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart and of the spirit, and not of the letter, whose praise is not of men, but of God. So what is this talking about? Here we go again. Simple Christians that don't read and they don't understand things. So I've got to go into some of their Christian commentary, what some people said they had a problem with me going into. Well, you won't believe it unless we read it. Right? This is not talking nothing more than the conversion of Jews, talking about the law, being all about the law. And this is why he said, you're not a Jew outwardly, neither is there circumcision, which is outwardly in the flesh, right? But a Jew, which is one inwardly, meaning rolling in the spirit of being a Jew. These guys wasn't behaving, these men wasn't behaving as a righteous Jew. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't believe in the Messiah, some of them. So this is why he kept saying in Romans 3 about the law. When you read the book of Romans 3 about the laws is sin and certain things like that. You're not under the law, but under grace. What do you think that was all about? That was technically going into the men that boasted about the law. And the law wouldn't save you because they wasn't faithful about what they was teaching. This is what Matthew 23 was about with the Messiah. And exactly what you see now, the merchandise that's being made using the law. Doing these sit-down panels. Anyway, I'll read a little bit from Barnes. It says, but he is a Jew. He comes up for the design of Jewish institution, which is one inwardly, who is the heart of a Jew, who has the true spirit and fulfills the design of their being separated as special people. Don't the scripture says, let me get that real quick. Yeah, I have to get that. Let me get that. He says, oh, you're racist. Right. But see what this says. 1 Peter 2:9. This is what it says here. And I'll get the NIV. Let me see here. It says, but ye are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, right? The ESV. But you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession. And if the Lord said everybody can be saved, and then he opens it up salvation for all, then the salvation really isn't for the Israelites. And this is what these people are saying. Paul was bringing them back because you had a lot of Jews who didn't believe in the resurrection, right? You had stubborn Israelites, right? That's all that was. So anyway, it says, that fulfills the design of their being separated as a special people. This passage proves that the design of separation of them was not merely to perform certain external rites or to conform to external observations, but to be a people holy in their heart. This is what he was talking about, being circumcised in the heart, right? You're not a Jew, talking about a Jew outwardly, but inwardly. Kind of like wearing your garment, right? Going through the services and ceremonies, but without faith. That's exactly what that's going into. So you, even though you're a Jew, you have to be one inwardly circumcised in the heart, not just your actions. That has nothing to do with other nations. Anyway, a little bit more from Barnes. He is who is merely descended from Abraham and is circumcised and externally conforms to the law only, does not possess the true character and manifest the true spirit, right, contemplated by the separation of the Jewish people. There's separation required, the more neither is the circumcision, neither does it meet the full design of the rite of circumcision that is externally performed and contemplated much more. Romans 2:29. So these people don't have an understanding what the hell they're reading. And this is why these debates, I would say, are hot trash. They do no purpose. Because in order to get the full understanding of this is what you would have to do. You can't sit up there and just read precept to precept and try to teach. This is why this is why you get lost. And they sit up here and try to make you look like a damn fool. It doesn't make sense. That all these guys, they get up here and panel for the money and they'll sell out the truth for some dollars and look crazy. Because these Christians don't even know what the hell they're reading. And there's Christian commentaries on that, and they won't even go into that. But we can read this and understand what is a Jew, you're not a Jew outwardly, but inwardly. It was just like Yahweh Shah, when you called Jesus in Matthew 23, was talking to the hypocritical Pharisees. Had nothing to do with involving everybody else. And this guy, Andrew Wilson, in the Barbary trades and the slave trades and different trade. Well, 700 years before the slave trade, who do you think had us in slavery? Why do you think a lot of times we conformed over to Islam? Even the Moors was Islam, right? And then we had a help and a hand in that as well during the slave trade. How do you think that happened? But Deuteronomy 28:15 on down was not talking about any other nation but the Israelites. So I have no idea why these brothers ain't bring that up from the beginning. This is crazy. Anyway, let's go to Jeremiah 4. I just want to clear up this thing with the Jew inwardly, outwardly, or whatever. Jeremiah 4:4. Circumcise yourselves to the Lord. Oh, wait a minute. This is saying it in Jeremiah. So with Paul saying this, is he hypocritical? Is he just reiterating, saying something that was already said over and over again? Yeah, all right. You Christians are done. You through. You don't know what the hell you're reading. Circumcise yourself to the Lord and take away the foreskins of your heart. Ye men of Judah, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, lest my fury come forth like fire and burn that none can quench it, because the evil of your doings. This is proven, as I read in Ecclesiastes 1:9, there's evils that we went off on and continued to do over and over in all the captivities, right? And Egypt and Babylon, and various other Rome, Greek, just everywhere. We get to America, it's same thing. Always going off and sinning against the Lord. And you know what has to happen? There has to be prophets that stand up and say what the deal is. Oh, let me get the word prophet real quick, which means to say before, but I'm going to go into the online etymology. A person who speaks of God, who foretells, an inspired preacher, a soothsayer, right? Also, an interpreter, right? Like we do Revelation 13 with the mark of the beast. You people don't know what that is. You have no idea. Only a prophet can tell you what that is. Or else you're going to hear a whole bunch of different ideologies. So it's an interpreter, a spokesman, a proclaimer, harbinger, especially one who speaks for God, an expired preacher or teacher. You see that? Before, forward, hence, front, of, before, right? So you speak ahead, but you also teach. That's what a prophet is. It's also a teacher, one who foretells, interprets, and show you what's going on and say, this is what it is. You better wake up, right? This is why you have preachers. So in these guys' logics, why are preachers preaching? Because the word preacher really means prophet. Yeah. Okay. That's all I have on that. Shalom.